So today we're going to talk about how do you give good constructive feedback, and we're going to talk about what makes a good informative speech topic. And I'm going to start with feedback because one of the best things that we're going to do together is we're going to be on this journey together. We're going to be giving speeches with each other. And I want you to think about when you get feedback, what is the feedback that is the most helpful for you? Like when you have feedback from other people, how do you best learn from that feedback? Well, I'll tell you first, it is specific, it is constructive, and it provides you a plan of action. So when we're listening to each other's speeches, I'm going to ask you to think about offering feedback that is constructive and specific. So let me talk about what that means. So a lot of people, when they hear a good speech, they say, hey, that was a good speech. Good job. I liked it. What's helpful about that? Do you know what to do with that information? Do you know what you did well? Do you know what you could do in the future to improve on what you did well? No. It might help you feel good, right? Oh, good, they liked my speech. But there's nothing helpful in that commentary. And so we're going to move away from that kind of feedback. I think it's great if you liked their speech, and that's absolutely fine for you to tell them that. And it's likewise equally good for you to tell them that it was a good speech. But that's not constructive feedback. Constructive feedback is specific, and it helps people because you offer suggestions maybe for future action. So what is it that you liked about someone's speech? So I'm going to have us practice, and I'm going to pause the recording to do that. I'm going to give you guys 3 areas that I'd like you to focus on for future feedback to speeches. And so if you would like to, in the discussion forum, those of you who have not yet had a chance to comment, remember, if you, Bianca, you're going to want to comment on 4 or 5 speeches because you uploaded your speech to the discussion forum. So I'd like all of you who did that, who uploaded their speech to the discussion forum, I'd like you to go back to the discussion forum, and you're going to comment on 4 or 5 other classmates in one of the following 3 areas to practice. The rest of you should pay attention to this list because you're going to use this when we give feedback to each other's informative speeches. So number 1, I want you to think about the speech's organization. Does it have a beginning, a middle, and an end? Does the beginning have an attention getter? Does the middle have clear main points that are easy to follow? And then does the end have closure? And does the end have, maybe a hook, or not a hook, but like a sense of like summary maybe of the main points? So that's organization, beginning, middle, and end. And we'll talk about how to do a good attention getter. We'll talk about how to do a good conclusion. Okay. The second thing is the speech well researched? What is the content in the speech? So first is organization, second is content. And content can include research. You guys have to have at least 3 outside sources for your speech. And when I say outside sources, I mean like evidence from the library, articles that you've read, that sort of thing. Okay. And then what I want you to do with the content also is you can use personal content, and you can use stories, and you can use examples. So content is all that, all the support you use. And then third, I want you to think about how did they think about the audience? So in an informative speech, it's not as important maybe as a persuasive speech, but it's still important that you think about the audience. So Is the information that they're providing clear? Is it really complicated? Is it something that the audience will understand? One of the things that I have noticed about informative speeches is that sometimes people don't think about the audience as much as they do about the topic. And so they will, maybe they're really into hockey and they start talking about this hockey, or they talk about a really complicated basketball play. And then the people are like not able to follow it. So my recommendation is to think about, what does this audience know about this topic and how can I make sure that they can follow along? Okay, so 3 areas: organization, content, and audience. And if you think about every speech that we have in class, you can make a comment in one of those 3 areas. If you notice, what I don't have in those areas, what I don't have you critiquing other people on, is their delivery. There's a reason for that. First of all, when you focus on delivery and you give people feedback on delivery, if you only focus on that, what that does is reinforces the notion that this is a performance. And I want to remind everyone that that first and foremost, this is a communication event. You're communicating and you're learning how to communicate about a topic. I would love it if you got comfortable enough to be able to focus on performance. That's great. But that's not where we start. The speech is like a cake. You don't frost a cake until it's baked. The frosting is the last thing you do. Could you imagine starting with the frosting? With the batter not yet cooked? How disgusting that would be. Yuck. No, you got to bake the cake first. And so that's really the point, is that whether or not you have experience giving speeches, we are now beginning to look at the speech process. And so I want you to look at, how do you bake that cake first? And then we will focus on how to make it more polished. What do you do with your hands? What do you do with your voice? The gesturing. I know that we've, maybe possibly encountered some of these topics before, like it's important to, the power postures with the Amy Cuddy video. But that is really about getting you confident and present. And more important than anything is that we are going to remind each other that we're here as a communication event and you have something to say. And this is about finding your voice and learning how to communicate that in an effective way. And the polish comes after that. So when we give each other feedback, I want you to think about the 3 areas of organization, content, and audience more than anything else. Okay, so now I want to talk about what makes a good informative speech. Picking a topic for an informative speech is one of the top areas that I would like you to think about, is that there are 5 good criteria for what make a good informative speech. The first is, it should be something you care about. As we've said before, you're going to be better and more enthusiastic and focused on your delivery. You're going to be more interested in your topic, and you kind of forget about yourself as much, and you focus on the topic you care about. So find something you care about. It doesn't have to be something you know a lot about, but something you're willing to learn about, because you're going to have to do research. The second thing is, it should be something that your classmates are interested in, or that you can get your classmates to be interested in. So thinking about, how does this audience respond to this topic? What is the audience current on information about the topic? How can I make this something that is appealing to them? The third thing is that it should be a topic that isn't too broad or too narrow, but that is appropriate for an informative speech framework and the class assignment. So your assignment is to give a 4 to 6 minute speech. So you don't want to pick something that's so huge that there's no way you could cover it in 4 to 6 minutes. So in most cases, you're going to end up narrowing your speech topic quite a bit. For example, if you said, I really am interested in the history of the Iraq War. Well, the Iraq War was like a 19-year war that's still ongoing. Like, what do you mean? Do you mean like the first Iraq War with President Bush? Or maybe you aren't really interested in the war so much as the soldiers' experience. Like, what's it like to be deployed? Maybe that's really what you want to talk about, right? So that would be a different speech topic, wouldn't it? So finding a speech topic area is important, but then narrowing that topic will be helpful. The other thing about content that's really important is that you need to find a speech topic that is appropriate to the classroom environment, that is appropriate to this audience, and that is appropriate to an informative speech. People are becoming more and more challenged. I've noticed over the years, I've been teaching this class for over 20 years. And I have noticed that people become more and more over time, have become more and more challenged in distinguishing between an informative and a persuasive speech. An informative speech is one that does not advocate. You're not telling someone what to do. You're not telling someone how to care. You're not sharing your opinion. So this can be challenging. So sometimes we pick a topic we really care about. Remember, you want to pick a topic you care about. But then the problem is that you care too much and you really just want to tell everyone that pit bulls make great pets. Well, telling everyone that pit bulls make great pets is changing their opinion. It's not an informative speech. That's actually a persuasive speech. So I guarantee you that about a third, if not more, of the students in this class may came up with a great speech topic when we are brainstorming speech topics. But then it turns out later that that is a great persuasive speech topic, not a great informative speech topic. So we will have to fine tune that. And what might happen is you might need to save that speech for your persuasive speech. And that this speech actually would be better to give as a persuasive speech, so you have to find a new topic. Sometimes you can fine tune it and make it an informative speech, but that can be challenging because maybe the reason you care about it is because you want to change everybody's minds, right? So it isn't as fun a topic if you're just informing them. So an informative speech needs to be somewhat neutral. I have a link of a ton of different topic ideas to help you on the way. So, so check out our learning management page for that. But if you're giving a speech, for example, let's say you really care about climate change, you can give that as an informative speech. You're going to inform the class about climate change, but then you got to stick to the science and talk about the process. You can't tell everyone about how we have to change government policies and act on climate change, because now that's persuasive. You're trying to change hearts and minds. You're trying to get them to change what they do or change how they believe. So this can be challenging. I have a theory that it's because our information networks and the way that we get news has become very biased and partisan. Back in the day, news outlets used to be very careful about being very objective when presenting the news. Today, that's not so true. If you watch the news often has a take on the situation. They provide more than facts. They often provide insight and opinion about the facts. And so I think it's become harder for the public to tell the difference between informing and persuading. So, so hopefully you'll learn the difference in this class. If it's controversial, it's persuasive. If you're trying to get someone to change their behavior or their attitude, it's persuasive. Just using the word inform doesn't make it informative. Like, I'd like to inform people about why they need to, have solar power. That's not an informative speech. So in the informative speech, we've talked about how it should be something you care about. It should be something that your audience cares about. It should be something that has content, right? That is not too broad, that it can be narrowed. It'd be something that's appropriate to the classroom, and that should be something that is not a persuasive speech. And then finally, I think it should be something that is something you can research, something that the content is out there to find, because sometimes you'll have an informative speech topic that you may really care about, that the audience might really care about. It's narrow enough to cover in 4 to 6 minute speech, is an informative speech, but oops, there's not a lot of research out there. And so I'm going to give you an example. I've had people who are like really into ghosts, and they'll come to me and be like, I want to give a speech. I've heard that the Tilden Arts Building on campus is haunted. I really want to go give a speech about that. And they'll be like all excited about it. And I'll be like, that's great. But I don't think there's anybody who's written a book about that. I don't think you're going to find any sources. You could go out and find like maybe one person to talk to, but there's not a lot of research out there. So that's not a great topic. So what that person did was broaden their speech to talk about ghosts in the Bridgewater Triangle, which is an area in south coast of Massachusetts area that has been known nationally for having a lot of ghosts. So they found, there's a book out there, there's a documentary, talks about, that ever since the King Philip's War with the native tribes in the area, there's been a lot of weird incidents of, people like the redheaded hitchhiker on Route 44, and they did a lot of research, and now they can give a speech about that. So the key is that you've got to find a speech that fulfills all of these criteria. You care about it. You can get the audience to care about it. It's appropriate for an informative speech and a classroom. It's narrow enough, but not too broad that you have too much time. You don't have a ton of time, 4 to 6 minutes, and you can find some research. That's the recipe to a good informative speech.